This is my iPhone 16 Pro, and I think I'm similar to a lot of you out there where, if you looked at this phone, you can kind of tell a lot about me. This contains everything I need to get life done. It really comes in handy. And over the years, I've really dialed in the setup, and especially now with iOS 18 and all the features you get there, I've been able to really hone in, make this a simple device that kind of gets all the clutter out of the way and lets me do what I need to do. Now, I went for the iPhone 16 Pro in specific because when I was using the iPhone 16, which I absolutely loved, I still think for most people that's probably the device to get, but I went to this simply because of the camera features. And that's really only because I make these videos for a living. So I've become accustomed to using things like ProRes and log video straight from the camera. I also really enjoy having that Pro RAW or RAW capability in the camera. Those are features I actually use, and it makes having the Pro worth it. But besides that, honestly, the regular device is just as good. But for me, that's why I'm using this. And with this, I'm using a few different apps and accessories that just make the iPhone 16 Pro the nearly perfect device. Well, at least for me. And a big thanks to Avia for sponsoring this video. Now, like I said, with iOS 18, there's a lot more you can do with the phone when it comes to customization. And that's kind of where I'll dive in first, because before I even get into the lock screen, there are some changes here. And that really starts with those shortcuts at the bottom. Initially, I kept them as the stock camera and flashlight because that's just what I've been used to for years and years. But once I realized I could just swipe over to the camera still, I decided to change the camera icon to the home app because there's a lot of HomeKit accessories I use in my home, which I'll talk about one in a second. And I needed a quick way to access that so that, I could check my cameras, check the doorbell, or activate a light or something like that. I'd always end up having to search for the app, and I didn't want to do that. I found this to be the perfect solution. I still will admit half the time I try to go activate the camera with the button. I'm just that used to it, but it's getting better day after day. But other than that, I just have my wallpaper and the time. The only other thing above that, or I guess the only widget you could say, is that I have the sunset and sunrise because I'm constantly checking that, when am I going to be able to go out and film? Is it going to get dark? All that kind of stuff. I feel like I check that every single day. So that just comes in handy. And I also find myself changing my wallpaper a ton, but these days I've pretty much settled on just using my own photos for wallpapers. I very rarely, if ever these days, go out and search for wallpapers. So these photos are all ones that I've taken and that I think look good as wallpapers. I don't know, let me know if you'd like to see a wallpaper pack or something like that, and maybe I'll give them away. I think the photos turned out pretty good, but I'm obviously biased. But yeah, that's where I get my wallpapers from. But when we unlock the phone, this is where the design takes advantage even more of what iOS 18 gives us. Now, I'm not even going to pretend that this is my design idea here. This is a straight up rip from Joshua Chang, who has a great YouTube channel. I'll link him down below. But when I saw what he did, I was like, yeah, I'm just going to copy that. I like it a lot. Now, over the years, I've done a bunch of different minimal and simplistic app design layouts because honestly, for the most part, I'm trying to get the clutter away. I don't want just a million things on my screen. I just want the apps that I actually use on a daily basis. And for those other apps, well, I could just keep them in the app library and search for them whenever I need to. Now, there is one other app that I want to talk about, and that brings us to today's sponsor, Avia. So this is the Avia Smart Deadbolt Plus. And at first glance, you might notice this looks different than really any other smart lock that you have seen. And well, that's what really caught my eye. This is a smart lock that you can install on your door, but it has a ton of features built in and a design I've just never seen before. Now, this has the world's smallest keypad on a smart lock. And well, it's because it's integrated into the lock itself. Instead of having a big, square block that's on your door, you have just a regular looking deadbolt, at least from a little bit of distance away. Once you get up to it, you realize there's a full-on keypad there where you can enter codes to enter. But that is just one way to get inside. In fact, with this system, you have 8 different methods to unlock your door. So you have that keypad, like I mentioned. You have the Avia app if you want to use that. There's also NFC tags. You have a regular key if you wanted to use that. But for me, the real game changer that I've been using in the last year is Apple HomeKey and the integration with my Apple Home ecosystem. So with this, I can unlock the lock simply by tapping my phone, tapping my Apple Watch, or just talking to Siri, and it will be able to unlock the lock. That comes in handy. I really love that. And even though it's small, it still is rated for excellent battery life, and it's built on Thread, so it's super responsive. And with all that smart integration, well, you can add different automations. You can give access to certain people. It has time and date pin code options for that. And it's super easy to install. If you've ever installed a lock before, it's basically exactly the same process, which is a few extra steps, but it took me basically 5 minutes to get this thing installed and running. So yeah, if you want to learn more about this or pick one up for yourself, I'll leave links down below. This is where you can get the best prices, so be sure to check that out. I absolutely love having a smart lock, and this one is probably the best one yet. With this, I just have my apps right down the middle, and they're mainly the Apple default apps. Over the years, again, I've kind of brought myself back to the Apple default apps because they work pretty well. And most of my other devices are in the Apple ecosystem, so they just sync really well with each other, although there are a few exceptions to that. So for those default apps, I've got Calendar, Reminders, Maps, Health, Phone, Notes, Music, and then at the bottom I've got Messages and Safari. Those are all default Apple apps, and well, I think they work best with the system. Are they inherently the best app in terms of functionality? Not necessarily. Like, I actually just switched over from Fantastical, and really the only reason I was using that is because I liked having the month view on my phone with all of the information, but now the regular calendar has that. And with the promise of what Apple Intelligence is supposed to be getting pretty soon here, and being able to read context and read through different apps that you are using, I figured switching back to the regular calendar might be helpful, but that kind of remains to be seen, but it works. And with reminders, it's kind of a similar story. I like being able to use my voice to give those reminders, and it just is faster and simpler. Health is an interesting one. I just, for whatever reason, find myself opening this pretty often just to see different trends, especially with my sleep. So I've been wearing an Apple Watch to sleep lately. But actually, another addition to my health metrics is this, the Ultrahuman Air. And this is a smart ring that you can wear to track your health. I'm sure you've seen these before, but I've really been enjoying this. I'm working on a full video on this. I've been wearing it for months now, and the data has come in handy quite a bit to kind of get an idea of what my sleep patterns and what my daily patterns are doing, and to give me an idea of how to maybe better optimize what I am doing in terms of, maybe going outside earlier to get more sunlight, or maybe going to bed earlier, or maybe knowing when I can go to bed so that I'm not super tired the next day. There's just a ton of data that you can get with this. That Ultrahuman app can import all that data into Apple Health, so I just like keeping an eye on it. Now, the only third-party apps I have here are YouTube, which self-explanatory. I also use Superhuman Mail. Now, this is kind of a controversial mail app because it's kind of expensive, but I absolutely love this, and I kind of made the mistake of using it. They were a sponsor of the channel a while back, and since then I haven't been able to switch back. They're not sponsoring this video. I just absolutely love it. Some of the smart ways of navigating with a keyboard on the computer has really come in handy. I just like this mail app a lot, and I can't really switch back. And then for the quote unquote work section, I have just a few different apps here. So I've got social media like X and Instagram. I've got Trello, which is what I use to keep track of all my work that I'm doing, all the different projects and what stage they are in. Then I've got Telegram for communication, and YouTube Studio for, this. But really, that's it. On a day-to-day basis, these are the apps I use. I've got Mail, the phone, Messages, all those regular things. I've got Notes. Okay, so those main apps aside, there are a few other ones that I find myself using quite a bit. And a few of them are mainly for the widgets. So if I swipe over to the side, you see all my widgets. And the first one is Carrot Weather. I don't know that I love the Carrot app all that much, but there's a few things about it that I do like. One is that I can choose which weather provider it uses, so that's nice. And the other thing is the widgets. So here I have one for the daily, forecast throughout the day. So I know if it's going to start raining or if the rain's going to let up, all of that stuff. I like that. I also like having the radar here so I can see that radar of what the weather is looking at. We live next to a really, really big lake, so the weather here can kind of get crazy sometimes because of that. And I also really love that it will tell me when it's going to rain and keep that in the dynamic island with a countdown timer of when it's scheduled to stop raining or snowing or whatever the weather is. So really, I never open the app all that often with this. It's simply for these extra features. That's what I really like about it. And then I also have my calendar here to get a better idea of what's going on throughout the day, but I just don't check that on my phone all that often. I usually save that for my computer or my watch. And I have the app Parcel, so I can see all the deliveries that I have coming in here. And finally, I have my activity rings, but again, mostly I check that on my watch. Now, two other areas that I use apps that you don't exactly see at first, it's not very obvious, is with the action button and the camera control button. So with the action button, I have this set to launch ChatGPT voice mode. So I can launch this and instantly start talking, and it can, have a conversation with me. ChatGPT has been a pretty big game changer for me in my workflow, and honestly, just in my life. It's kind of shocking how often I can ask it a really obscure and strange question, and it knows how to respond and actually helps me. It's the voice assistant that has kind of convinced me that this might actually be a future that could work. And with the voice chat client built in, this might sound kind of silly, but I actually enjoy having conversations with it and just kind of getting what's on my mind out and being able to get some actually pretty decent responses from it. I don't know, I use it quite a bit. Now on the camera control side, I have this set to open halide. Now the camera control button itself, I don't use at all. I really don't like it actually. I don't use it to trigger the camera or anything like that. I'm simply using this as a quick way to open this camera app. Now halide is great because it gives you a ton of pro controls, but for this specifically, I have it set to use process 0, which is basically like the raw of the raw. So it's an unprocessed image, and I find those images look really good. But I don't always want to be editing my photos, especially when I'm taking them on the phone. Most of the time, they're just snapshots. So I don't always take photos in halide, but when I do, this is the way I do it, and I can just instantly open it with that button. Now, speaking of halide, another app that I've recently been using a lot is Kino. And Kino is made by the same developer, and it's kind of like the same idea as halide, but it's on the video side. So with this, I can get those ProRes features with Apple Log. And what I like about this is you can shoot ProRes, but at a lower quality. So I do ProRes 422 instead of the absolute highest you can do, just saves on space. And it has all the other pro features you'd hope for, so it just comes in handy for video. And I shoot a ton of video on my phone, so this comes in handy. But those are really all the apps I use on a regular basis. Sure, I have other apps installed, but these are the ones I really actually use. But I find apps are just parts of the experience here. I also have a few hardware accessories that I use that can really elevate the way the phone works. Now, first is with my screen protector here, and this is one I've been using for years, and I really love it. It's from a company called Mothka. It's very cheap. It's like $8, but it's a matte screen protector. And what I love is that it doesn't have a cutout for the front-facing camera. Instead, it just has a non-matte section, and I really hate those screen protectors that have a cutout for like the notch and stuff. I just don't like the way they look. But with this one, I don't know, for some reason it just clicks in my head. I love this screen protector. Now, I will say, if you even like nick your phone a little bit, you don't even have to drop it. This screen protector will probably crack. So it's a good thing that it's cheap because you can replace these pretty easily, and you probably will end up having to do that. But if you want a matte screen protector so you have less fingerprints, you just have less glare, this is the way to go, or at least I would give it a shot. Now for the rest of the phone, I don't typically use a case on a day-to-day basis, but I do have two options depending on what I'm doing. So if I'm just going out somewhere and I know there's a chance that maybe I might drop my phone or maybe it'll get scratched or something, then I throw this on. This is the Peel case. And basically the idea here is it's as little of a case as possible. It's like a step up from a skin, but a step down from an actual case. It's right in the middle there, and you kind of forget that it's even on there. And well, that's exactly what I want, because I just don't like the feel of a case most of the time. So it just gives you that little layer of protection, very similar to a skin, but you can take it off. So I like that. I will say Peel cases in the past do break very easily, at least for me. So keep that in mind, kind of similar to that screen protector on the front. But if you're just looking for that little bit of protection that you can remove, this is probably the way I'd recommend. But when I am going like camping, or I'm going out on some type of adventure where, dropping my phone could be devastating, that's where this comes in. This is the sport case from Nomad. And really there's two reasons I have this case. First is because, like I said, if I'm out somewhere around rocks, around dirt, and I drop my phone, I want it to be protected. But the other reason is because I bought it in this magma color, and it's a bright orange red. And really that's because it makes it so much easier to find in those situations. So if I'm in a dark tent, I'm in the car, I drop my phone, or I'm filming with it and set it down on a jacket or something, and it kind of gets tangled in there. Having this bright case just makes the phone so much easier to find. And when I'm out on an adventure or doing something like that, I just want to know where my phone is so I can grab it, snap that photo, take that video, whatever it is, and I can put it back and I know where it is. Plus, it also gives me that protection. So those are the two cases that I use, but for the most part, day to day, I just don't have a case on it. But yeah, that is my setup here. The iPhone 16 Pro for me has been probably one of the most boring phones, but also one of the most useful. We've gotten to the point now where you know exactly what to expect with the iPhone, but that's kind of why I use it. It doesn't really get me excited, but what I can do with it does. And that's kind of why I stick with the iPhone. I mean, sure, I use other devices like folds and all that kind of stuff, which those are fun. Those get me excited. But when it comes to day-to-day use, I just want a solid phone. And that's exactly what this is. Now with this phone, I switched from last year, the 15 Pro Max. So this is a smaller device, but I actually find my battery life to be about the same as what I got with that Pro Max last year. So that is a big win. I also love the screen size, slightly bigger, but I'm able to use it with one hand a lot easier. Like I mentioned, the camera control button is not something I really ever use except for to launch the app. But I find for me, like I said, the camera to be the reason I use this device. Sure, on the camera side, the photo side, other devices are pretty similar, but when it comes to video, you just can't touch what Apple is doing right now. And well, I make video for a living, so it makes sense that this is what I stick to. I love the iPhone 16 Pro. I love all the apps I use, and I really love this whole setup. I'm always on the lookout for what else I could do, but so far, this works pretty well for me.